Welcome back to the channel, everybody. We have a bit of a disappointing video here and one that I didn't ever want to have to make. But eBay has actually restricted my account in the last couple of days. This happened on Friday and I want to tell you about what's happening and what my plans are now. Obviously this isn't good news, but it's not the end of the road, but it's something which I think is important to update you guys on if you've been following the journey so far. So let me give you guys the story first and then I'll explain what I'm doing now and why this happened in my opinion. So Friday was a really good day for me. I was having fun in the sun, it was a very nice day, and on top of that I made a record number of sales. I think it was 15 sales in a day, and that resulted in about £800 worth of revenue in one day, which is a massive goal, and it is obviously beneficial to me on my road to 1k of revenue every single day, which is what I'm now aiming for. Now, I got home, I started to process orders and respond to customer feedback and everything like that, and then I get a message from eBay in the messages. It says, your account has been restricted under the counterfeit items policy. I check why and I check what's been restricted, I see the item, and it tells me about what's going on. It says that for the next 3 days, your listings will be hidden from searchers and people will essentially not be able to interact with your store in the same way. At this moment, I'm thinking why? Because I know for 100% fact, nothing in my store is counterfeit. And again, I check what the item is, I know what it is, I know that it's my best-selling item, and I see it's been taken down. Now, loads of people have bought this, over 100 people have bought this item, nobody has ever complained about it being counterfeit, simply because it cannot be counterfeit to begin with. But anyway, I got that message, and well, that's that. I thought, well, for the next couple of days, I don't really have anything to do with eBay. Now, unfortunately, this happened at like 11 o'clock on Friday, so that's 11 p.m. Obviously, at that point, you can't really call customer service or text them, and with it being the weekend, I do have a life to live. I was out on Saturday. Today is Sunday when I'm filming, so I'm going to have to get in touch with them on Monday. So Monday, I'm going to give them a call as early as I can and see what's going on and why my account was restricted. Because I know that a few of my items have been reported for counterfeit goods before, but I've never thought anything of it. For the simple point of I know that these items are not counterfeit, and I know that the customers haven't reported them. So I'm thinking, who has? I'm already aware that eBay does have a verification system, but I checked what brands work with this verification system and what companies, support this and whatever. The brand that I kept getting flagged upon does not. It isn't really in eBay's verification system to begin with, so why it was flagged up in the first place, I don't know. The only thing that I can think of off the top of my head is that somebody has reported it, and I would imagine that would be a competitor, because you have to remember, this is my best-selling product, and it sold over 115 times, I think it was at the time it was taken down. So it looks like somebody's done that, maybe out of malice or something like that, because I know for a fact the customers can't complain and won't complain because it isn't fake, it's a legitimate item. So it must be somebody with a spiteful intention. That's the only thing that I can think of, but I'm not really going to spend too much time thinking about that part of the process. But yeah, so I got that message, and from then, well, I didn't really have much to do on eBay. I still responded to my customer service, and I wanted to see first if my payments were still getting processed, because like I said, I had £800 worth of orders on that day. I'm not going to send out, £500 worth of stock or something like that if you account for the markup. I'm not going to send out £500 worth of stuff if I know I'm not going to get paid for it because, if eBay's restricting my payments. Fortunately, though, they are not, and I have been paid in the last 2 days twice, which is good. So it looks like everything's still fine. And funnily enough, even since being restricted, I have seen sales of decent numbers. Admittedly, though, it's nowhere near what it should be. So my account is going to be back instated, I believe it is, either Monday or Tuesday, because it did happen at like 11:50, so I don't know if they're going to do it Monday night or Tuesday night. But so Tuesday for sure, I'm expecting to get this account back. And it's left me with a couple of questions. The first one is, what do I really do regarding the account now? Because like I've said before, actually 2 videos ago, it's funny because only 2 videos ago, I spoke about this when I said that I'm setting up on Shopify and Facebook Marketplace for this very reason. Now, I knew that a few of my items had been flagged before. I didn't really have any cause for concern because I knew that they were legit items. So I'm like, how can anybody complain? So yeah, so I decided open up a Shopify store, but really with the eBay store itself now, it is a significant business for me. Like I said, if it's making between 500 and 1,000 a day, that's up to £31,000 worth of revenue a month on an eBay shop. I can't really afford to lose that, or I'd prefer not to. So I'm going to get in contact with them, see if they can help me with this. And on top of that, I'm going to make every listing on my store generic. Now, whether that actually helps me or not, or stops things getting banned, I'm not sure. But as you guys will know, I sell watches. I specialize in selling cheap watches. This is why it's blown my mind and kind of infuriated me, because I understand if they're going to go with the premise of it's inspired by something, but it's not. It's its own brand. And that's a funny thing. They've not even flagged it on being an inspired version. For instance, loads of brands are inspired by other brands. Like, Lamborghini was inspired by Ferrari, that's a common known fact. The Samsung Galaxy was inspired by the iPhone. Loads of things over history are inspired. But this is not what's happened. They've actually flagged me up as a fake item of a cheap brand from China to begin with. So let me explain what I mean by this. That's like going into Tesco's, let's say, not getting the, let's say, the Colgate toothbrush or toothpaste. You get the Tesco generic one, and then you're going to claim that that is a counterfeit. Well, who's going to counterfeit the cheap product anyway? It wouldn't even be financially sensible, because you'd be able to sell it for basically the same price as what the real product would be for, and it just wouldn't make any sense. So of course it's a legit product. A product that costs £7 to buy is not going to be a counterfeit, because the legitimate one is the same price. So what margin would there be in even counterfeiting that item? So that doesn't make any sense. So why they flagged me on that, I don't know. But yeah, going into Tuesday, when I get the store fully back, I'm also going to do some of this tonight on Sunday night into Monday. I'm going to make every listing that I can generic. Now, at the moment, I have all of the Chinese brand names in there. Now, obviously, we're not talking about well-known brands. We're talking about brands from China that, by the way, when I was researching for my Shopify store, I did learn that basically anybody can sell. So I'm going to make all of the listings generic. Hopefully that works. Any branding in images and stuff like that is going to have to go. Any items that are heavily branded, I will seriously have to consider having them in the store, because as much as it's going to hurt to take away items like my bestseller, like Is Now Gone, that's better than having no store. So if I make half the revenue, bringing it down to 15,000 next month, that's better than nothing, and that's still a decent amount to make. But I hope that works. I don't see why my account should get banned, because obviously if I was to get flagged again and again, the next step is a 7-day ban. The next step may either be a 14-day ban or completely off the platform. And that would be completely unfair, in my opinion, for somebody who's not selling counterfeit goods at all. For instance, if I was, why have none of my customers complained? Up until today, I had 100% positive feedback. And the reason why I got one negative feedback today is about a fault with the item. No one said it's fake. Nobody's ever contacted me to say it's fake. So why has that been flagged? It must be somebody doing that on purpose. But, there's not much that you can do about it. When you are working on platforms like eBay, Amazon, you are unfortunately working in their house, if you will. So you have to operate under their rules. And if they flag you up for something, well, you can't really dispute it to a degree. I mean, I am going to get in contact, see if there is anything I can do to resolve this, but I don't know how far that will actually go. So that's the annoying bit of news that I've seen with the eBay store. So yeah, I've been flagged up, and essentially my account's been kind of shadow banned in a way for the next 3 days, or for the next 2 days, because 1 day's already gone. I am going to get in contact about that. But that is a depressing news over. Let's talk about the benefits that has brought, because as bad as that might seem, and it is quite bad, it's not good to have a store A, flagged, B, shadow banned, and C, have my sales dipped. Because remember, 3 days worth of sales in my store, and especially the weekend 3 days. Friday was the first day ever that I've hit £800. Generally speaking, what happens is I have 3 days over the weekend that go up, up, up. So I've probably lost about £3,000 worth of revenue. An absolute conservative estimate would be about £1,000 minimum in a weekend. That's how much I've lost in revenue by having my account shadow banned. So yeah, my next steps are better though, because this has really given me a kick that I've needed. Admittedly, and I hate to say this, but when you get to a point of comfort in life, you do sometimes take it for granted. And that's where I have got, even in the past month, with the eBay shop. Because if you have to remember, if I'm at 10 grand of revenue right now, expected to go up to between 15 and 30 next month, that will be giving me currently about 3 grand's worth of actual income, as in profit per month, which is a decent amount to make. And that will obviously next month give me between 5 and probably £7,000 worth of profit. Now that is an insane amount for a 20-year-old in a bedroom. Behind the screen, I've got loads of watches, which are still stacked up here. And the question is, If you were making, say, £5,000 to £7,000 in one business, which isn't that hard to run, would you want to scale that as into other platforms? Probably not, because you're comfortable where you are. But like I say, that's now given me the kick, because I understand that if one of these channels goes down, I am in trouble. So now I'm going to be opening up on Facebook Marketplace. I think I am still going to be selling watches on Facebook Marketplace, because I do believe, and I have to research this more, but I do believe that they permit that. So for that reason, watches I can sell. So that's one of my business channels, and I might start selling other stuff on there as well. Now, a business channel that I tried a couple of years ago, I think it is Etsy, or at least a clothing store. So I have two ideas for this currently, and I'll explain both of them. But my Etsy store, I want to sell print-on-demand clothing. I paid a couple of years ago for a designer to make me some logo designs for essentially shirts and jackets and whatever. Now, at the time, I think I did the marketing all wrong. I was marketing through Shopify, which is fine for the right shop, but obviously it was hard to grow a clothing brand on there. So after a couple of months and a couple of £100 really invested into ads, I gave up on that business. But operating this through Etsy is the same thing as eBay, in the sense that you already have a house established and people will buy your product if they like it just because it's on Etsy, eBay, Amazon, something like that. So Facebook Marketplace I'm opening probably tonight as well. Start listing 5 items a day on there as well, like I do on eBay. Etsy I'm going to try start either today or tomorrow, and again I'm going to start uploading the shirt designs that I have for print on demand, and hopefully that will be a good source of revenue. On top of that, I'm going to start selling used clothes on sites maybe like Vinted or Depop. So I need to actually investigate which is best, which one's going to be the best marketplace for my business. But this is a thing, right? When you have a business, people seem to put it into one category. So you could say I am an eBay watch reseller, and that is true, but I am also a reseller. If somebody is an HR manager in a business, they don't say I'm an HR manager for X and that's all I do for my life. You are an HR manager. You can take that to any company that will have you. The same is true for running a reselling business. I am a reseller. I scaled my business in 4 months to over 10 grand in revenue per month. I am a reseller. I understand this whole process. So I'm not limited to one platform. If eBay will allow me to continue selling on there, that's brilliant. And I'd love to go on to make, 30,000 next month, 100,000 in 6 months from now per month. That is obviously the dream, because that would be amazing. But if they do want to ban me for whatever reason, even after the changes that I'm going to be making in the next few days, if they want to take down all my listings, ban me, and I'm never allowed on the platform again, I'm still a reseller. I can still sell watches on other platforms because all of my watches are legit. I genuinely do not have to watch my back for legal trouble, in the sense that I know that all of these items are real, so no one's going to get me for selling counterfeit goods, because I have receipts, I have invoices, I can prove that everything is legit. So there's no trouble really to worry about there. But yeah, with me being a reseller, I can take that skill set onto any platform or even my own website, and I don't really have to worry about that because I understand what I'm doing. Now, admittedly, if I can't sell watches as much, that is annoying, because I've learned essentially everything that you need to know to sell 10 grand plus of watches. So I know things like what's a quartz movement, what's an automatic, what's a manual, what's a chronograph, which chronograph hands do what features are people looking for. I understand that when I look for a supplier, when I look for a watch that's on the market, I can go straight there, that has this, that's the watch that I'm going to put into my shop because I know it's going to sell. And in a couple of days, it's gone. And on top of that, with my eBay store, I am getting to a point where my inventory is turning over so quick, so to lose that would be a shame. But yeah, I am a reseller. I'll do that anywhere and with anything. So I am going to be opening up a clothes shop on Etsy for new print-on-demand clothes. I'm going to be opening up on either Depop or Vinted or something like that for my used clothes, some of which I already have. I'm going to be selling on Facebook Marketplace, and the big one for me is I'm going to be selling on Amazon. Now, this is a bit of a tricky one, and actually the toughest category for me to enter, because I believe Amazon has restricted categories. Now, I have to say, being as this news all came as a shock on Friday night, the restrictions from eBay, I've not had as much time as I'd like to research this. But I believe from a quick inspection, it's going to be hard to sell watches on Amazon. So I've got to think about what I'm going to do there. Now, I don't want to sell used clothes or used stuff on Amazon, so I might have to start drop shipping on Amazon to begin with, or even buying stuff in wholesale to sell out, because I've seen that as well. So either drop shipping or selling stuff from wholesale is what I'm going to do on Amazon, but it's got to be in the right category. And I might even do FBA on Amazon, depending on how things go. But that's what I'm saying, right? So on the one hand, this is some of the worst news, actually the worst news I've had this year, because it feels like everything that I've had and built, really, because I have done what I have, myself. It feels like everything that I built is being crushed by one allegation. And this is the thing, right, with companies like eBay. They're so automated that it's just a simple he said versus she said, without actually looking at the circumstances. So I don't know who's reported me, I don't know why, but why is eBay straight away saying, right, that must be fake, or that must be a problem, when in actuality I've sold well over 300 items now. I sell over 300 items a month. I get about 50 plus positive feedback every single month. I am doing what I can to make eBay a better platform. I answer messages quick, and I have been nothing but hospitable, and most of my customers have nothing but good stuff to say. And like I said, even the one that complained only complained about the fact that the item had a fault. And by the way, if you'd have contacted me, I'd have solved that. So why he left negative feedback, I don't know. But you get what I'm saying here, right? I've built this business. All of the days of stressing about, can I get the inventory in, stacking all this inventory behind me, sitting here day after day, typing stuff up, listing stuff, all that kind of stuff. It feels like I've just wasted my time. Now, I have to say, if I made 10 grand a month, I can't say I fully wasted my time. I have made money, but I'm not here for a quick buck. I was trying to build a business here, and I still am. So it just seems unfair that someone wants to take that away straight away. And a brand like eBay that really should be caring about its sellers is not even going to do anything about that. Now, unfortunately, this is something that I knew about eBay from the early days. There's no actual vetting process to it. No one on eBay seems to look at the fact that my account's got hundreds of sales and makes loads of money. That just doesn't seem to matter. They don't care. So that is disappointing. But, onwards and upwards, I guess, it's just an opportunity to see the good in things. And even if I am banned in the next month or so, there's tons of platforms out there, right? It's taken me 4 months to build an eBay store that is projected to make well over 100 grand in revenue a month. 4 months. I can do that on Etsy, easy. I can do that on Facebook. I can do that on Amazon. I can do that on Depop. I can do it all at once. I could do every single one of them. Then I could possibly even get to a point where I'm making 500 grand in revenue a year. So I'm not happy about this. I'm not saying I'm happy about this. I'm still composed about it. I'm not upset about it. And this is a bit of a weird video to be making. And it's a little bit of a rant. It's been 20 minutes so far. But what I'm saying is, this is the thing about a business. You get these little curveballs that you don't expect. And it really makes you think about things. Now, fortunately for me, I do have the kind of mindset that allows me to turn this into a positive, where I can just say, I have the skills, I'm going to move over here. I'm going to do that. And that way, even if my account's fully reinstated, no more problems ever, I still have 2 or 3 or 4 businesses. Now, that obviously is going to take the management time of 2, 3, 4 businesses, but I now have that in my arsenal. And that's going to be nothing but financially beneficial for me. So I guess the takeaway for this video is, I'm praying that my eBay shop doesn't get shut down. I do think it is unfair that I was temporarily restricted in the first place. I don't think this is that big of a deal. If I can make everything in the store generic to a point that pleases eBay, because like I say, I'm not selling big brands to begin with. If I was selling, Rolexes, fair enough if you want to give me an authenticity check or claim that my items might be fake. I'm selling stuff from China, like almost generic stuff. Is basically like the mall brand equivalent of a watch. It's not going to be fake because there's no money in counterfeiting that item in the first place, so no one's going to do it. So it doesn't make sense. But anyway, that's enough time talking about that, I suppose. Yeah, only onwards and upwards from here. But as this channel, whether you guys do enjoy watching or not, or whether any of you guys have watched up until this point, I don't know. Maybe this has been a boring video. But whether you have or have not watched, this is also an opportunity for me to document the struggles in my journey to becoming, well, successful and hopefully rich. Because, you know, as depressing as moments like this are, it's just like a stock chart. If the chart is moving up, that's good. No chart ever moves up like that. It's always up, down, and that's like how this is going. This is a down moment. It's a very big down moment, but it's not the end. So sadly, I've got to relearn selling new items, relearn new platforms, whether or not eBay works. But for the next couple of days, my eBay shop is shut for business. I'm still going to process the orders that I have in, because it does allow me to do that. I'm not sending out any new offers. To be honest, I don't want anything to do with eBay for the next couple of days, just because I'm going to be busy enough setting up all these these other shops alongside running a life. So that's it for this one. Hopefully it wasn't too much of a depressing note, but yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Until the end, I'll see you soon.